Well, after an unnecessary delay, it's time to make my 100th subscribe, wait a second. Holy shit! So apparently after making that update video, 100 more people went on to subscribe to my channel. This is amazing. And to that I say, thanks for the support and feedback. I hope I can make even better videos and go on to celebrate an even higher milestone in the future. With that said, here's a little gift from me to you. After hitting 100 subs, I asked a few people to vote on a straw poll for the subject of a countdown. And of the 23 votes, the winner was top 5 favorite video game franchises. There's not much in terms of rules, except for the dead obvious one franchise per entry, and this is based on my enjoyment with at least 2 games in each series. In other words, expect a few big names to be missing because I only played/enjoyed one game in said series. With all that said, let's get started. I can say that throughout the last few years, I've played a few rather interesting titles. Games that tell a great story, places me in a unique setting, or presents a strong moral choice before me. However, despite my taste getting noticeably more mature, one series has always found its way back into my proverbial vision. No matter how old I get, I'll always have a soft spot for this little genocidal puffball. While I've grown to appreciate games with a level of complexity, Kirby will always be the king of the pick-up-and-play experience. Anyone from young to old can play these games and still have a blast. What's kept me coming back is the fantastic level design, memorable OST, and the fun copy abilities that add to the gameplay. Probably what's held up about this franchise is that every game has its own selling point, allowing each title to stand out from the rest. Like super abilities, animal friends, combining powers, radically different game modes, or in the most recent game, a freaking mech suit, with its own copy abilities. Yes. If I had to choose a favorite from this series, it would be a tie between Return to Dreamland, Superstar Ultra, and the most recent game, Planet Robobot. And seeing as Kirby is one of Nintendo's most consistent franchises, and the fact that the newer games are raising the bar of quality for the series as a whole, it's easy to see why I find myself coming back to this amazing series. Also, to that one guy complaining that these games are too easy, try going for 100% in the newer games, and good freaking luck. Square Enix, the company that brought us Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, The World Ends With You, and even published the most recent Deus Ex games. When this company isn't delaying a game into oblivion, it's producing some great experiences and great punching bags. But let's ignore Square's recent failure and look at my favorite franchise under their belt, Kingdom Hearts. This series started off as a little gimmick game. Hey, said someone at Squaresoft, let's make a crossover between Disney and Final Fantasy. But thanks to some great characters, fun hack-and-slash gameplay, one of the greatest composers in the industry, and some really solid RPG mechanics, what would have been a fun little spin-off of Final Fantasy is now shoulder to shoulder with its predecessor. A special note going to Birth by Sleep. Seriously, this has to be some of the best combat in any game, period. Also, how could I forget the amazing the good Okay, there's no nice way of saying this, but Kingdom Hearts' overarching plot is f***ing ridiculous. And the fact that I spent my teens deciphering this confusing story is kinda proof that at some point, Square messed up. Don't get me wrong, I liked most of the characters, and the plot of the individual games had their great moments, but the fact that people jumping into Kingdom Hearts 3 will need to read an entire encyclopedia before booting up the game is beyond ridiculous. Tangents and infamously bad story arcs aside, for being one of Square's better series with really only one blunder in the library to be honest, all I have to say is, thanks for the great game, Square Enix. Now release Kingdom Hearts 3 already! When it comes to old intellectual properties, we tend to see a reboot now and again. Thanks to this, some old IPs can be given a necessary revival. Or in this case, an old classic that fell from grace could be given an uprising. Kid Icarus on the NES is a fun old school game with a lot of charm and wacky humor. Or at least as much as you could put on an NES cartridge. While the difficulty was in the middle ground between a fun challenge and needlessly cruel, I can see why this became a classic for so many. On a complete side note, I really want to see a new Super Mario Bros. Version of this game, mostly to fix the few shortcomings the NES version had. From what I've heard, Myths and Monsters is more of the same, so I'll skip 20 years ahead to the most recent entry, Kid Icarus Uprising. Now prepare yourselves, as I'm about to say something that will literally blow your mind. Are you ready? Kid Icarus Uprising is one of my favorite games. I know. How could you have possibly known this clearly confidential information about yours truly? I mean, I was doing such a good job in hiding this fact. Yeah, jokes aside, this game is amazing. With fast-paced flight levels, fun ground combat, a great presentation, my favorite OST in any game period, and a fun cast of characters, I can definitely say that this is a literal gem in the 3DS's library. Also, one character sticks out from the cast, one that you might think of when you look at my channel, and that is Thanatos, the most fabulous character in any Nintendo game, and no one can question that. There's also some angel guy wearing black. To be honest, he looks like a massive tryhard. And with all that said, Kid Icarus on the NX. Nintendo, make that a thing. Objection! Yeah, I had to get that out of my system. In 2014, I picked up a little game called Ace Attorney: Phoenix Wright after hearing about it many times in a positive light. I then went on to marathon the next two games after the first game worked its magic. Now in 2016, I'm putting a point-and-click / visual novel / screaming at your DS and looking like a madman in public game on my favorite franchise list, and pretty high up to boot. But what is so great about Ace Attorney? I mean, after all, you play as a criminal, repeatedly breaking the law to force an innocent verdict by getting evidence illegally and tampering with the crime scene. Kill me. Ace Attorney stars Phoenix Wright, a defense attorney who's out to help the innocent and search for the truth. The strength of Ace Attorney is its great story, memorable cast of characters, amazing OST, and the most energetic moments I've ever seen in the form of the court scenes with its cross-examinations. My favorite in the series is the tie between Trials and Tribulations and Dual Destinies, for the engaging plot throughout all of the cases. And letting me cross-examine an orca. Yeah, these games get weird. No series is perfect though, and for every peak there is a valley, but the fact that I can't really say there is a game I even dislike proves that Capcom has done good with The Lawyer in Blue. With that said, here's to Ace Attorney 6. Holy shit, it's already out! Later! Deus Ex. Human Revolution was great. Hopefully Mankind Divided lives up to its predecessor, and part of me wants to look at the previous two games to see if they still hold up. Ratchet & Clank. A Crack in Time was amazing, and I'd like to see where this series started out with the PS2 trilogy and the other games on the PS3. Fallout. The third entry was fantastic, and I need to play parts 1 and 2 sometime, and also attempt to get a functioning version of New Vegas. Metroid. I don't know how to explain this, but I haven't played any of the 2D games yet. Please don't kill me. Shin Megami Tensei. I loved SMT4, and I am really looking forward to playing the other games. There's also this obscure series called Persona. I don't know, it kinda looks like weeb trash. I've noticed in my time gaming on the latter PlayStation consoles that, unless your name is Naughty Dog or you have a Metal Gear logo nailed onto your forehead, all your hard work will be ignored. Hence Sucker Punch and the two IPs that I rarely hear about, Sly Cooper and Infamous. Let me get the elephant out of the room. Yes, two different series are at the #1 spot, and all I have to say is that both are success stories in my eyes for the same reason. Both being sandbox games where you need to platform your way across the map, having elements of collectathon games, and having their story and aesthetics based on comic books. The Sly series is about Sly Cooper and his band of thieves working together, sneaking, hacking, and punching their way to steal a valuable item and dethrone a criminal empire along the way. Infamous is about conduits like Cole McGrath getting superpowers and then dealing with all the negatives associated with said powers, like alienation from society, propaganda and the media, and having major decisions thrusted before you. Aside from having a good setup, each series has a strong overarching narrative that has its collection of great moments that really makes it stand above other games in the same niche. Plot aside, the moment-to-moment gameplay is fantastic, both being sandbox games with platforming and being part stealth for Sly and part third-person shooter for Infamous. Simply put, going around the city, fighting enemies, and collecting items is fun and rewarding. And damn, these games have some great boss fights. While I've gushed about music earlier, I can at least say that the OST for these games are more about building atmosphere, which for these kind of games, works. It makes you feel like you're running around an actual city or something. As for personal favorites in each series, it would probably be Sly 2 and Infamous 2 for their strong plots, massive improvements made to the gameplay, and generally showing the strengths of the video games as a medium of storytelling and entertainment. Strangely, I haven't heard much from Sucker Punch after Infamous First Light was released, but I'm hopeful that the studio will have their next best game in the works. With all that said, this is the Renegade Master, and thank you for 200 subscribers. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.